Episode 41. Boys, how are you doing on this beautiful October Tuesday evening? Puck is about to drop on the Boston Bruins. We all have that on, so maybe we'll give some live reactions. How you boys feeling today? Connor, we'll start with you.
Snug as a bug as a rug, or in a rug, with
Good.
all this new Duck Boat swag.
Good.
Rocking the beanie today.
Nice. Kev, how you feeling?
Feisty, baby. I'm ready to go. Got the voice back. And now the boys ready to kick off episode 41.
Kevin, famous number 41. I love that I did this to you without any talk.
Ooh.
Oh, shit.
Phone a friend.
Phone a friend. Connor.
Yaroslav
Halak, our boy, our old friend, Mike Smith. Some legendary goalies. I think we get right into it, right? I mean, it's hockey season now. We have 1,000,005 things to talk about. I don't know. Do you guys want to jump right into that dirty water, or what are we thinking? You guys want to mix it up? Maybe start somewhere else? Why don't we start somewhere else? Let's start somewhere else. Let's start out west. Oh. Let's get wild, and let's start out in the wild, wild west. The Western Conference, home of some teams that look pretty good right now.
And some that suck ass.
That's true, Kev. There are some that don't look so good. Let's start right from the top. How do we feel about the Calgary Flames so far? They made all those offseason moves. There was a moment this offseason where I think the three of us would have said they were dead in the water. They were drowning. It was time to blow it up. And then, as Kevin calls him, Baby Brad tree living. Is that what you call him?
No.
What did you call? I thought you said Baby Brad or something before.
Oh no,
maybe not. All right,
not
maybe
to my knowledge.
Yeah, sometimes
I confirm or deny.
Yeah, Brad Tree Living saved the day. He was the GM of the offseason, and as he's gotten these deals done, I think we've all agreed he won the trade.
Absolutely.
The Huberdeau and Uyghur for Tkachuk trade. He won that trade and a first. What a crazy
and a prospect.
And a prospect, yeah. Just kind of bananas.
And
Let's start with the Flames, though. The Flames are 2-0. They have scored 9 goals, given up 6 against. Not the best differential, but still. They're out there and they're winning hockey games, and they look strong.
You got to think about the teams they played to put this into context.
Nope, you're right. They beat the Avs already.
They beat the Edmonton Oilers already.
The Avs, right? Is that what it was? The Avs and the Oilers?
The Avs
no, am I wrong? They
the day after opening night, and then they played Edmonton on Saturday.
Yeah, so they put up 5 against the Avs, and then they put up 4 against the Oilers.
So they just
3 to both.
They just put everything out of question. There's no top 3 teams. You know, Calgary took the #1 spot in the West by beating its 2 competitors for that top dog spot, in my opinion.
I agree. I mean, we'll get into them next, right? But the only team that's sitting above them is the 3-0 Golden Knights, who have looked good. They've looked good, but I don't think the Golden Knights could beat Calgary in 7 games. I don't know if any of those teams can, and it's crazy it's crazy how quick that switch flips. But I really look to a guy like Nazem Kadri. I listened to Nathan McKinnon's interview today on Spit and Chicklets, and he talked about how much they really did want Nas back. Nas was super important to them, and how Newhook's going to need to have a year and a half to get to that point. And
well, duh.
Yeah, obviously, right? But Kadri's a guy who, to me, is kind of a game changer. He really is. Obviously, I'm saying things that are completely obvious, but the Flames are a scary team. I mean, the first future I put this year, it was super small, but I threw it on the Flames.
Right. Really, what's scary about the Flames is they have all these pieces already in place, and Trey Living's not done. He wants to get another forward. He wants to get a wing for that top 6, and whoever he brings in, they're going to be a big playmaker or whatever. So that makes him that much scary down the stretch, come trade deadline.
Who even knows? You know,
they might not need to.
You never know.
You never know.
I don't think that it's going to be big fish hunting, though.
Yeah, because
I think it's going to be a middle 6 winger that they bring in.
I agree, because they have their two centers, right? And then they have their playmaker they have a great playmaker in Huberdeau and a great playmaker in Kadri. And they have shooters on both the lines in Mangiapane and Toffoli. So it's they don't really need pure goal scorers. They have them. They have enough. And not to say Kadri and Huberdeau score goals. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. What do they have grit. They have really strong defense. They have a great goaltending. I mean, they're a team.
They have the whole package, in my opinion.
They really do. They kind of remind me of a team out east that we're going to talk about later on. But anything else with the Flames? I mean, I think the biggest thing is the Flames have a surplus of defense. So if they want to make a move, they'll have value there, because as seasons go on, and we all know this, defenseman's value go right on up, especially around the trade deadline.
And especially, like, this is an aside, and we're probably not going to get into this too much, but a lot of defensemen have been getting hurt in the NHL recently, which is going to make the prices go even higher. And
yeah, no, it's a supply and demand market, that's for sure. Yeah, just like gas prices.
And Jacob Chikrin is not being put on promotional materials by the Arizona Coyotes.
There's a fly in here. Anyone who's on the video feed, there's a fly in here. I'm going to be fighting it all night. Next, we have Bruce Cassidy and his reign over in Vegas already starting. No, were you not ready? Did you have more on Calgary?
No.
Oh, you gave me a look. Maybe it's just Bruce. You don't even like to hear his name after how good Montreal's done. Bruce Cassidy, game 2 of the season. I love this. I've already laughed about this with multiple people. Phil Kessel benched game 2. You just got to realize, Vegas, Bruce is a really good coach. He brings a lot of really good structure. He has trouble with letting the dogs run. And a guy like Kessel, I don't think is ever going to fit his mold.
Wait, time out. Did that break his Iron Man streak?
No, he didn't. No, he sat him in the middle of the game.
Oh.
Yeah, he had like 2 shifts, and then he sat for like a whole period.
Fair.
Yeah.
Okay. I was curious if like that's why it was uproar.
No. Gotcha. It's just people.
Just you bring this guy in who's a vet, and then it's like, and it's Phil Kessel. Like, you know what Phil Kessel's going to do.
Maybe Phil had a couple too many hot dogs in intermission and wasn't feeling so hot.
But he's got the squirts.
Yeah, Vegas fans just aren't. They're not ready for Bruce. They're not ready because they're like. I think they like glorify their players, and they don't really. I don't know if they're the most educated fan base. I mean that. I have no problem with Vegas. I think that there's a lot of people there who are getting into hockey. They're new to hockey, and as time goes on, they'll get more educated with it and different coaching styles. Bruce will sit anybody. He'll just sit anybody, and there's going to be players that you guys love as a fan base, and you're like, he's our future. We love this guy, and Bruce is going to be like, fuck that guy. Yep. It's just going to be a reality. Like, I mean, Jake DeBrusk looks like a brand new player without Bruce here. It is what it is. Guy like Craig Smith,
Freddie is a brand new player.
Guy like Craig Smith having trouble without the reality of Bruce keeping his veterans in the lineup. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's just Bruce was a very interesting coach.
Well, I'll talk about that later. Never mind.
Yeah, I know. I'm just like everything goes back to
You're gonna get me wound up.
I know. But like Bruce, it's funny. I expected it to happen. Vegas looks better than I thought they would. So, you know, and I never thought they'd be bad because Bruce, there is one thing. Bruce is good for superstars. Bruce loved Pasta, gave Pasta world's longest leash. Stone and Eichel will have the longest leash on planet Earth.
And they have really good players in Vegas.
They do. Vegas
like
is good.
The only reason why people, I think, are hesitating on Vegas is because Logan Thompson's your number 1 goaltender. Yeah. But the reality is, if they can make it into the playoffs, they're likely to get Leonard back.
Yep. And it's also the reality of them they play like Russian roulette with players. I think that started to turn opposing fan bases and their own off on them, as well as guys. Like it's when you're building an NHL franchise, you're like, you get behind players and you want to build something, and no one's safe there ever. And that's just a reality.
Yeah. And like, as a fan, like, I don't know how you guys feel, but it kind of sucks if you think about it. Like, if I was a Vegas fan, like, would I want to go out and buy a jersey for a player?
No,
I'd be like, no, absolutely not.
Get a blank one.
Yeah, 2 years from now, that person's going to be gone. Like, Marc-Andre Fleury was the flagship person in that organization.
Yep.
The only one that I think are still there is the Riley, Marchessault, and Carlson line from the original roster. It's wild.
Yeah, I don't agree with it, but I mean, hey, they've gone big game hunting and they get the big fish.
They do.
They do get the big fish, so we'll see how it all pans out. I think they're going to be good. They're probably going to be a playoff team. Maybe it's too early to say that, but they look.
I don't think they're going to be a playoff team.
I don't know. Like I watched them.
I think
play,
Vancouver and the Kings are too good.
Yeah, I think Vancouver's really good, but they're 0-3 to start the year. You get 0-4, 0-5, 0-6, and then things get dark fast. So they need to turn around
straight
now.
2-goal leads.
Well, that's the perfect segue into the next topic if I ever seen one.
Vancouver Canucks. They've had the worst luck that I've seen yet this year.
Oh,
but at the same time, it's not just luck. It's that they're not closing out games, which says something about coaching and it says something about the players. You know what I mean? Who's their coach? Is it Ken Hitchcock?
No, it's Bruce Boudreau.
Oh, it's Bruce Boudreau. Yes, it is. Yeah,
sexy.
Yeah, he's over there smiling and shit. They're happy. But a team with a ton of talent, a team that should be good, and a team that needs to learn how to win.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, big time.
A franchise that's never won.
Yeah, and like for me, we saw Elias Pettersson come into the league. We saw Quinn Hughes come into the league.
Sorry,
did you drip a little?
Myself. Yeah,
nice.
Just a little bit.
And they came in, and everybody was all excited. They did fairly well in their rookie years, and really not a lot since.
Hughes had a pretty good year last year. Quinn Hughes, like if you look at his numbers, he was good. Pettersson took a big step back.
But
Hughes took a step forward.
In my opinion, having like an outstanding year for that caliber of player is dragging your team into the fight and helping that team win games.
They're not that guy, though. They're two elite players, but they're not. They need other guys. They need the JT Miller. They need those guys who are going to do it, too. I don't see either of them as do it alone guys at this point.
That's a problem. Like, don't you think that that's terrible?
From Quinn, no. From Pettersson, yeah. Pettersson, I thought was going to be like a next superstar. And he still could be. Like, he has time. But last year wasn't the year, right?
So, I don't know. I think if he has another bad year this year, he's probably toast.
Well, I wouldn't say toast, but I mean, he's not a bad player still. He's still a good player. He just
but with their cap situation that they've got going on.
Maybe they'll trade him.
And you have the choice between
you mean
Pettersson
toast in Vancouver.
Yeah.
What's he making? Is he making $9 million?
I don't know. I can tell you right now. Hold on.
I know he's making a decent amount, but Kev, how do you feel about Vancouver while Connor looks that up?
Yeah, it's Vancouver.
Do you have them as a playoff team?
I do not. I do not have them.
Yeah, you didn't have them. You didn't have them either when we first asked you a couple days ago. I have it written down.
I will never have them.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I've kind of gone back and forth on them. I think they're a good team. I just don't know. I mean, they're blowing games.
I mean, just like being in the Pacific, I see like Vegas, Calgary, LA, Edmonton.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
I have them all over them. And then I'm high on the Central too, so they're not even sneaking as a wild card team for me.
No.
His salary is 7.3 and some change million.
That's not awful. I mean, I don't have the biggest problem with that really.
We've seen worse.
And last year, him being a quote unquote down year was his best points production year overall at 68 points.
Yeah, which isn't bad. I mean, it's right. It's tough. It's just because we thought he's going to take a huge step up and be over a point per game player. It's not that he's a bad player. That's what I'm saying. And the price, if the cap goes up $4 million this offseason, then shit. You got to look at that a different way.
How many years do they have left on
it? 2 more years remaining.
2 more. Yeah.
So this year and next.
We'll talk about that right now, actually. So the NHL salary cap, Bettman said today that there is a probable chance, at least, that the players could finish paying off escrow this year if hockey keeps, bolstering like it is and keeps shooting up, which it's doing, which is great. That would mean the cap can jump $4 million this offseason. If not, it's going to go up $1 million. Either way is really good news. But $4 million this year is great news, because that means the cap projection is going to be a much higher looking projection than what we originally thought. So if that happens, those $7 million deals really look good. They don't look bad.
Now, Quinn Hughes is making 7.8 and change million a year.
Like that for him. I
think he equaled Elias Pettersson last year at 68 points.
From defense. That's I think Quinn's really good. I don't have any qualms.
Here's the really odd thing for me. 68 points, 8 goals, 60 assists. Holy hell.
Yeah. Yep. Quinn's a player, dude. I really think Quinn's a good player. I really do. What do we have here? I see on the sheet. Which one of you is mad at the schedulers? I'll let you take it over.
Both of us, probably.
Go.
I wrote that. No, it's just weird. You have some teams that already played 4 games in St. Louis. They already only played 1. Like, just makes no sense.
I know.
And you
the
have
Bruins are on a back-to-back.
you have
they're
one
first of their
Sunday.
14th. Like,
The first week of hockey, Sunday, has no games on it whatsoever.
That's because ESPN doesn't want to go against. They don't want to go against football. You know that. That's what's going on.
But it's not football on Sundays for ESPN. That's Mondays.
I know.
And then
I
they
know.
load
But
the
you know.
schedule
But
on
it's
a
just.
Monday.
I know. But it's just. They're thinking it's all money wise. They're thinking they don't want to go against football. I don't know. Last week was pretty boring, so they should have just went against football. Oh, what's going on? My session expired of watching the Bruins pregame up here. But yeah, no, I mean, it kind of wraps up for the West, right? I don't know. Like, do you guys have anything else on the West?
oh, do we want to see who's going to be the longest undefeated team in the West left?
Yeah, who is left that's undefeated? It is the Stars, the Flames, and the Golden Knights. And the Blues.
And the Blues, which have played 1 game. Ooh.
Yeah, they have to be length of games. I'm going with the Flames.
From just the Western Conference.
Yeah.
I probably should.
It's hard to pick against the Flames.
Yeah, they're just really good. I mean, I don't.
They're the most complete team in the NHL right now, I'd probably imagine.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Now, who do you have in the Eastern Conference?
Well, we'll get to that when we're in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, we'll get there when we get there.
Jeez,
I can't wait to talk about one of these teams on that list. Oh my god.
Let's jump in. You guys want to salt to the East? We can get salty.
Bye-bye. Make it rain, baby. Make it rain.
I love that video. Salt of the East. Let's jump into it. First question is one that I think I've asked myself like 4 or 5 times. Are the Habs better than we thought? What?
Can we just finish off the Eastern Conference side of this prediction list here?
Connor really wants to talk about Torts in the Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Oh, is that who you're going with? You think they're going to be the longest?
No,
right, fine.
I don't.
Who do we think is going to stay undefeated the longest?
Boston.
By schedule, it should be the Bruins. The Bruins have they got through the hard games to start the year. Yeah. It doesn't mean and listen, I respect the fact that they could lose tonight. I do, but I like them. The fact that the Bruins are again underdogs makes me laugh.
Against Ottawa.
It's just Ottawa. I bet on Ottawa now like 3 times, and twice, and they've lost me money. So I'm not really.
Bet on once, lost, and then said never again.
Yeah, I know. That's Kevin and I have already made a rule. We're not betting on shitty teams anymore. They're done.
Oh,
we're done with them.
There you go. But anyway, John Tortorella. Did you guys see his comments the other day?
What about his captains?
About the.
Oh God, yeah,
the jerseys.
That was so bad.
I think it was Scott Lawton who got to wear the A, and a reporter. And apologies to this reporter, but I don't remember who it was.
No, that's right. We don't mean it.
Had asked him how come he was wearing the A and nobody else
deserves it.
He said he's the only guy on the team who deserves it. Holy shit!
He's a soundbite. I mean, it's just what he is. He's a soundbite at all times.
Do you think that some of these players get actually pissed off by the end of the year?
So Whit was talking about Torts and Hazy, and he was Hazy was so scared that Torts was gonna hate his playing style, but he's so far they love each other. He's like I don't know. He's like from what I've heard from Kevin, he loves Torts, and Torts has been great to him. I don't know that Torts is that big of a dick to veterans that he respects. I think he's tougher on the middle ground young guys. Because guys like Atkinson, guys like Voracek, those guys love him. They've always came out and said they loved Torts. So, and Foligno, you know what I mean?
Do you think that Torts is the way he is on purpose? And in the room, he tells the guys hey, this, that, and the other thing. I'm gonna go be a dick, and I'm gonna keep everybody focused on me type deal.
There's a degree to that, and we saw it a ton. Remember during all the questions where they went and they got Duchesne, and they didn't trade Panarin, and they knew he was walking and Bobrovsky was walking. He was a clown in the media so that those guys could focus on hockey. And that I think those guys respect a lot. You know what I mean? I think when he was just like, but then there's times like where he tells Zach Werenski he has to sign his contract, like stuff like that. It's just like wild stuff. He's like, I called him, told him it was time to play. It's just like those things are like, what? Like, what, dude? What'd you do? But I mean,
he's great for people like us in the media.
Yeah, I guess I think I've said negative things about Torts that weren't fair in a lot of ways, but
I think you called him a clown.
I did. Because I think he is a bit of a clown show. At the same time, I do think he's a really good hockey coach. You know what I mean? I think there's a fine line, and he can do it for like 2.5 years, and then he flips and falls down over that fine line. And everyone's like,
then he goes too hard in the paint.
Yeah. He becomes Shaq. He becomes 08 Shaq, and they just don't know what to do. What, Kev?
I just hammered the Bruins money line.
Good. I'm not doing that, but I do feel like this is like a bit of a trap game. I do, but we'll see.
We'll see. But
we're going to
Kevin,
stop talking about that. We're going to talk about the Bruins. What are you going with? Sorry.
Kevin.
Don't even say Forsberg, bro.
Are the Habs better than we thought?
Yes. Yes, they are.
They're 2-2. But they're never out of games. Their offense is dynamic.
Right. Kirby Dach's scoring.
Kirby Dach's a good player. I was never here for Kirby Dach slander. But
that was Connor and the wrist injury.
St. Louis has these boys playing hockey. It's that simple.
He does.
They have talent there. That's the thing. Just putting it together.
Yeah, and Jake Allen is kind of standing on his head, which I think we're supposed to get a press conference or something of the sort this week from Carey Price, where it's expected that he may call it a day.
Which is sad, but I think the biggest sign of that is them having him out there and giving him that moment to start the season and introducing him. And I think for any hockey fan that's been a hockey fan for the last 10 years plus, getting to see Price have that moment was pretty cool. Like, I thought it was pretty cool. Definitely a guy I've always liked, a guy who's definitely struggled and dealt with his battles, but he never won a Stanley Cup, but he won a gold medal, and was at the top of the game for a long time.
Yeah, and like what's crazy is like without the injuries, like we expected him to play another 6 years,
He was the best goalie of our generation. He just got hurt.
He still would have been a relevant goaltender while this team is good.
Yep. If they had Carey Price playing well right now, 2 years from now, I think they'd be real formidable.
They'd be giving teams hell this year.
Yeah, I know. They wouldn't be able to win like the division, but they'd be good. Their defense is just not strong enough. That's the problem. But their offense is something. Here's a question for you. Is this draft that we just saw maybe a little weaker than people thought? I don't think any of the top 3 picks are going to make an impact this year.
No.
I think
Logan Cooley is already sent down, if I'm not mistaken.
He's in college. He's playing at Minnesota. You have, Minnesota? I think I'm right. I hope I'm right. Whatever. The Shane Wright struggling to be in the lineup. Slavkovsky struggling to be in the lineup, playing in a 4th-line role. Things you hate to see.
And had your GM being like, we expected a lot more from him early on.
Yeah, I always thought this draft was weaker. Literally from NHL, like from playing the video game. As funny as that sounds, like if you play a franchise mode, this draft is way weaker than 2023, which we all know. I mean, there's studs coming. So I still think there's some really, really top-end good players who are going to come out of this draft. I think they're just going to take a little more time to develop. Ottawa Senators. Let's get into it. It's who our Bruins are playing tonight. I thought they were going to come out and blow the doors off teams. And to be honest, I've watched both their games because Kevin and I gambled on them. I've watched all the hockey Ottawa's played so far this year. They have good talent. No, listen. They have good talent. They took it to the Sabres. But this team doesn't know how to win. And you know what? They brought in these guys. They brought in these veteran guys. What's something that neither of those 2 veteran guys they brought in have done? Win. I don't like to say Claude Giroux hasn't won, but he hasn't. And he hasn't been on a winning team for a whole season in a long time.
Dude, he couldn't win in Florida last year when it's going there. Like, come on.
He
And
had a
Brink's
lot
never
of
won.
successful years
He did.
and runs in the playoffs with
He did.
Philadelphia.
He
I
did.
will
So,
give him that.
you know what I'm saying? So I do have trouble with me saying that.
Yeah.
But it's been a minute. It's been a minute since any of that team's won.
There is one thing that is holding the Senators back, and that is their unwillingness to pull the trigger on Jacob Chikrin.
It would help him a lot. It would help him a lot. A guy to play with Shabbat, a guy to really fortify that top four. It would help him a lot.
Would complete this team.
Yep. And it's, I mean, and by no means do I think this team's like out of it or anything. I think they're good. I mean, I watched both their games for the first time in a long time. I watched 2 straight games of Senators hockey. I'm about to watch the third game too. So
Yeah.
the Senators, I'm going to be pretty up to date on, but they have talent. I just don't know that they know how to use it.
Yeah. They just need to kind of chip away there, and at the deadline, probably add some, grizzled talent like I don't know. This is not what I'm actually thinking, because I don't think this is possible. Somebody like a Jonathan Taves, somebody on the last year of a contract who's done some winning, who's on the back 9.
That's a guy who could have been really helpful there. He could have been helpful there. I don't disagree with that. How about Tampa? Tampa Bay started off slow. Are you guys worried about them, or is it just they just don't care this early in the year? And they'll get going at the midpoint. The wheels get greased and they'll start to roll.
I mean, I think they will get going, but it's also that hangover is happening, You can only play so much hockey before you're starting to get worn out. So
yeah, no,
I think it's a mixture of both. Like, obviously Tampa, they have the talent. You have the best goaltender in the league. You have Stamkos, you have Kucherov, you have all these guys. You have Hedman. It's like you're gonna be fine. It's just you hate to see starting slow, because we've seen how you start slow and sometimes you can't crawl back. Yep. And you have other teams, like the Bruins, are starting 3-0, and they're getting going, and they're going. They're not going to stop.
Yeah, no. The biggest thing with Tampa to me is they have the veterans who know how to win. So I think that when the going gets tough, they will pull out games. But I do think this is the year we see the step back. But I still fully think they're a playoff team. Like I'm not worried about them. I'm just not. Connor, are you worried about Tampa? You are absolutely muted. I don't know you're muted, buddy.
Oh shit! There you go.
There you go. You're back.
Am I worried? No, probably not. I think that I agree with you that they do have the veteran talent to get there. But Victor Hedman is on my fantasy team as my number 1 pick this year, so I am freaking out internally.
I hope you're right. I just think they're fine. They're a team though, right? It's like the opposite. Jumping to the Penguins. The Penguins veterans have been firing to start the year. They're 2-0-1. Crosby's looked like he's 25 again. The Penguins look like this is their last dance in a way. Not their last dance, but I think they're rejuvenated that they got the veterans back. They keeping the core together. And this really it's one of their last dances. It's like the Bruins. There's not much time left. The clock is ticking, and these generational talents know that make your last push before the young guns take over. And I think that team they're producing, right?
Absolutely. And it's kind of weird to see the end of the Pittsburgh Penguins in a way, just like, the Boston Bruins with Bergeron and Krejci, Crosby and Malkin.
Yeah, no, it's definitely something I agree with. I wonder I do just wonder, right? Like what comes next for them, because they are historically so lucky. They went from Lemieux to Crosby. Obviously they had the down years, right? But like if they can get another generational talent, it's like, oh my God, we'll see how it goes. We really will. I mean, I've heard a lot. Like they tanked to get those guys. They were tanking for Ovechkin. They ended up with Malkin, and they ended up getting lucky by the lockout year. So they got a top pick again, and that's where they got Crosby. People forget about that. Like
the reason Ovechkin and Crosby on the same team.
They almost did. They were a pick away.
Wild.
They were a pick away. That's what people are like. How did these teams? I think some of the younger fans don't realize how Pittsburgh and Washington got their dynamic pairs. It's because the lockout year. So they ended up getting top picks again, and that's how they got Backstrom and Ovi, and that's how they got Malkin and Crosby. It set those two franchises straight, and it also saved the NHL in a way. Crosby and Ovechkin were the faces of this league in a time where they really, really, really needed stars. And I think both of them did a great job in their own ways of building up those two teams and helping foster hockey into this high-skilled generation that we have now. Like, we don't have Trevor Zegras, we don't have Cole Caulfield if there's not Crosby and Ovechkin. I really do believe that. Like, we don't have these guys who are so talented, so, like, young stars if those guys didn't come in and pave the way in a way. Any pushback on that? I think the only thing left for the East, well, segue, keep it moving. My segues have been fantastic today. Talking Washington, how about Evgeny Kuznetsov, that dirty Russian in that high stick? I'm so sick of Russians swinging their sticks around. Like, I don't know if they're just mad, like what they're just perpetually mad. But what is going on? It's like the fact that that's a 1-game suspension is a joke. It's an absolute joke. He swung his stick at the guy's face. Like, give him 3 games at least. Like, I was jokingly saying 10, but I thought it'd be 3 to 5. 1 game.
And then he shoved him in the back.
Then he shoved him in the back. That's it. There's zero remorse. Not a big Russians guy. Definitely not a big Evgeny Kuznetsov guy at all. Kuznetsov, I think, is a shitbag. The other day I was talking to my dad, and I was like, yeah, Kuznetsov, great. Till he, does more cocaine and puts it on social media, and then, till he fails another drug test or does something else asinine. That's not a guy I'd want on my team. And that shows it. He clearly injures a guy and he cross-checks him in the back. It's like, dude, you're a loser. That's my opinion on Kuznetsov. I don't have to worry because when our podcast blows up, the Russians aren't going to want to come on here and talk to us anyway. So I'll say all the negative Russian stuff I want. Don't care. Anything, Kev?
No.
You guys are just agreeing. I like it.
Yeah.
I like these.
Quick and
easy. Get the word out of my mouth.
Good. Glad. You know what that means? It means it's time to dive headfirst into that dirty water. That dirty water, baby, Boston. Yo, my love. Attaboy. Kevin and I will be reporting live from the Garden on Saturday night, so that'll be fun. But let's get into the dirty water.
And before that, Friday, we're
going to hit a P Bruins game. I'm actually, my hockey team that I coach, my U8 hockey team, we are playing in between periods at the P Bruins game. So Kevin's coming to watch that.
I'm just going to get drunk with his fiance.
Yeah.
And cheer him on.
Yeah. And then we're going to the Bruins game the next day. So it's going to be pretty fun.
Watch a little charge puck drop,
Yeah. I'm excited. But let's get right into it. The Boston Bruins have started off 3-0.
Oh, baby, let's go.
They've started off, and they look much better than any of us thought they were going to.
Waka flocka flame.
And I think the biggest thing for me is that we're getting scoring from the whole lineup.
Right. After 2 games, you had 10 different guys scoring goals. You scored 11 goals in your first 2, 10 different guys recording. That's what you need. And, what's the word I'm looking for? The wow factor's there. They have the wow factor.
Wait a second. Wow was the word you had to think about?
No, I couldn't think of a word.
Okay, all right.
I just fair.
That's fair. I was like, Jesus, buddy. If that's the big word you're coming up with, and we got to get to the dictionary, hit up Mr. Webster. I've been pretty surprised, Connor. I don't know about you. I think the depth scoring's been surprising to me.
It is, but also there's players in the roster who are in the bottom 6 who I'm still looking for more from. So it's it's an awkward time in Bruinsville.
Yeah,
definitely.
I agree, but it's the ones you are seeing scoring, this team has this swagger around it right now. And that's what I love to see. They're happy, they're having fun. They're playing hockey. They're back as kids. I think that's the biggest thing. It's winning games, having fun, scoring goals. That's what they're doing.
Being said, 2 of the swaggiest guys in this team are not even in the lineup.
Yeah.
In McAvoy and
AJ Gridge with that swag, with that bite and tongue out and everything.
He does. They have. Chill out, buddy. Don't sweat too much. I think that third line, right? That rebuilt third line that we're seeing, which I'll segue or keep it going. Of Greer and Freddie with Coyle, it has played 2 games with some swag, and I like the way they look. To the point where tonight we see Mr. Craig Smith being scratched. Smitty is scratched because he's being outplayed up and down that roster.
Right.
Adios.
Even Foligno, dude, is looking nice. Like
He hasn't been bad.
Right, you got a couple close ones. Dude could have like 2-3 goals right now.
The player that I've bitched about the most is Smith, and he's out of the lineup. Smith and Riley is just. I'm never gonna like Mike Riley's style of play. You know what I mean? But he's done his job. I think he's been outplayed by Clifton. I think Forbert's been the best defenseman.
Right.
So
and that's one thing we talked about yesterday. Like when Locko was the one that got bumped for Smith.
Yep.
Like
I thought it was bullshit.
Yeah, it's unfair. It's like Locko's proven himself. Smith hasn't.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. Like I think Jacob Lauko has absolutely deserved to be in this roster. And tonight, Smith's scratched. Lauko's back in. I think Lauko is going to play with a man like his ass is on fire, and he's going to be hard to take out of that lineup. I really do. Bruins defensive unit has some injuries. Connor, you want to get into those?
Yes. Starting with
Connor's doing a lot of dadding tonight. He keeps having to step away. He's doing a lot of parenting.
So it actually wasn't dadding. It was my mom showed up.
Oh, okay. So just saw.
However, it didn't start that way. My dog just really wanted to go to the bathroom. And
so it's just.
I was trying to let him out because he was whining at the door. So that was the first time. And the second time was to let him back in the house. Luckily, he was.
Oh, I just saw your text.
He was out here when my mom showed up, and he was tripping and getting all antsy because he wanted to go inside. But whatever. Anyway.
Deep hairs, injuries.
The Bruins injuries. Well, it looks like we're going to be getting Matt Grzelcyk back sometime in the not so distant future, probably within the next week or so, which is a really good sign, especially since the other injury on the blue line, Brandon Carlo, who knows what's going on. I mean, when you look at the play and he took that check into the boards, it seemed like he snapped his head back and smashed it into the board to some degree.
But again, man, it's an NHL hit. Nothing dirty. Yeah. It was not a crazy contact. It scares me with Carlo. It really does. I talked to my dad about this last night. We're like, is this a sign? And this is a question I have for you too. Is it a sign that Carlo cannot play at this level for 82 games? I don't think there's a right answer. There's no wrong answer here, but I don't think
he can.
I think it's a sign that he can't. I mean, he hasn't really proved that he can. Even his first couple of years where he was like a mainstay on the blue line, he got hurt right before the playoffs each year.
And his head is just not all right. And I mean, it's a guy who, I think that it's severely hindered his career and his career projection.
He's starting to tread into the Andre Kasha injury bug.
It's just the reality of like, at that size playing defense, you're going to get bumped into in your midsection. Defend your head, number one.
Yes.
Number two, I mean, you have to be able to take those hits. And it does scare me about Carlo's long-term ability to be a Bruin.
He can't take those hits because he's not committed to being a physical defenseman.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just his head. I don't know if his head will let him. So that's scary. But we get Strawman back tonight.
Yeah,
we get Strawman. We just get Strawman.
Get the visa, finally.
No, he didn't get a visa.
It's because they're playing in Canada.
They're playing in Canada so he can play.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he already had his ability to play in Canada.
And then, Kev, what's the update? I think you put out the article this week for Charlie McAvoy coming back.
I put out a Grzelcyk article.
Oh, it was the Grzelcyk article. Okay.
But Charlie Mack is back practicing in that full contact sweater.
Oh, no, he was in maroon. He wasn't in full contact.
It?
Yeah, he was in non-contact. But Bradley Marchand was practicing in his full contact uniform.
Was not.
He was buzzing around. I guess he was being super physical. He looked great. He still has to wait 10 games.
The guy has one speed, which is full throttle.
But he still has to wait. He still has to wait 10 games. So, as excited as we are to see those guys back out there, they can't come back yet. It's that simple. There's going to be a couple of weeks before we see either of them practicing in full and then getting the NHL speed. We still have a little bit of time to go. Just like Grizzy's healthy, he's just not in NHL shape. Like Monty said, like physically, there's nothing holding him back. It's just that he's so sore after practice and stuff because he's not used to playing hockey at this pace, which is normal. It's not like Tonight we go Lindholm, Riley, Forbes, Clifton, Zaboral, Strawman. I like that a million times better.
Oh, I love Zaboral, Strawman together.
Yeah, one guy though. Before we get into our last Bruins topic there that we have on the sheet, obviously if you have more, we can go over him. I haven't loved Zaboral's play. there's been signs of great things, and there's been signs of like, come on, dude, just go with your gut. I think he's been a little indecisive. 100% going to give him a pass. He's played 3 games back from an ACL tear.
And he's got less than 20 games of NHL experience.
Yep. So I'm not holding against him. The way that he was hyped up to start, it just is kind of.
Well, yeah, and I think on top of, his name being in that 2015 conversation, everybody in the fan base has heard of him and they feel like he's been around the block for a long time.
But he really hasn't.
And expect a certain level of, competence, and he's really not there yet. They haven't given him the opportunity yet. Well, I guess you could say they did last year, but the injury, but that shit happens.
Of course. I think our last thing we kind of have in the Bees is the guy who the 3 of us were so high on still hasn't found his way into the lineup in Jack Studnicka. Right before we started recording. Yeah, I'm disappointed. I think that's the best way to put it. Right before we started recording, we listened to Monty's interview together, and obviously he wants to get him in the lineup, and he's going too soon, but he's just kind of giving him the advice to just stay strong, and when you get in there, prove for me not to take you out. I think
that feels like such a backhanded comment, doesn't it? Like,
I know. It's like,
we
hey,
don't
man,
think you're good enough, but if somebody, gets hurt,
you probably will
stay in the lineup.
Yeah, it's like, I don't.
And if you do well, maybe you stay in.
The problem is Nosek's played all right, and Foligno's played better than we expected.
And you know what's going to suck even worse, and I think the writing on the wall that Studnicka's gone, is that as soon as Marchand comes back, he's probably gone.
Yeah, but if they set him down, he's going to get scooped.
Yeah,
and I don't know if they do set him down though. I think they might. They've shown like they will send Foligno and Riley down and those guys. So we'll see. We really will see. But I don't know. But as Foligno, Studnicka, when he gets in, it's this simple. Studnicka will get in a game before Marchand's back. He better be the best player on the ice. That's it.
How can you expect him to be the best player on the ice when he's now not had any kind of?
It's going to be hard. It's going to be absolutely hard. It's stacked against him again. Jack Studnicka has been put in tough situations by this organization.
And if he doesn't crack this lineup at some point and play a significant amount of games,
he's going to want out himself.
It's going to, one, hinder his development overall because he's not even playing AHL games. No. He's doing nothing but practicing and watching from the press box.
Which I'm sure he would choose over being in the Always Hungry League. But
yeah. Maybe.
I have another.
Yeah. Oh, say it, buddy. What is it? You introduce it.
Anders Bork getting waived.
Yes, Bjorky. Bjorky got waived. He's not going to get picked up by the Bruins, but it's
I know, but Taylor Hall trade looking that much better.
I know. The Taylor Hall trade was a steal, and we all know that.
Taylor Hall and Curtis Lazar for Anders Bjork and a second-round pick.
That was something. I would have given up a second for what Lazar gave us. I wish we still had that guy. I guess, but we have enough bottom.
He scored his first goal the other night in Vancouver.
Good.
Yes, he did.
Good. Bruins are in good shape. I think that's kind of our overall thing there. I don't know. Kev, do you have any bets for us, or are we going to just give our bets out on Twitter? What are you thinking?
He's hammering the Bruins tonight, and it looks like the Bruins are like minutes away from starting their game finally.
Yeah, this would be hard for us to even get that out. But what do you have anything for the rest of the week? You want me to hit the button, or am we going Lucky Duckies or no?
Yeah, hit it.
Okay.
Lucky Duckies.
What do you have, Kevy?
We back. I got a little parlay cafe for Friday. I'm like
buddy.
Red Wings in Colorado parlayed.
Red Wings in Colorado parlayed?
Yes, sir. Friday night.
I have one for Saturday because I always bet when I go to the Bruins. Bruins money line, hammer it Saturday night.
Against the 0-3 Minnesota Wild.
Definitely. And before we go, just remember, guys, we're going to be coming out with a lot of new merch, so stay tuned for that. I promise you we'll be getting that out on Twitter soon. And go to Inside the Rink for all your hockey news and everything hockey related because Inside the Rink's growing like crazy. Get our merch there. Follow all the other podcasts and keep supporting us. We appreciate everything. We appreciate the follows. We appreciate it all.
Ciao.